Well, recently, the Pima County Sheriff's Department warned about scammers using fake QR codes to solicit donations connected to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. So how can you spot a scam that piggybacks on a real news story before you hand over your money or personal information? Matt Minzenko, Managing Director of Nomo Robo, joins us now. Matt, great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great. Thanks for having me as well. Appreciate it.
All right, first off, why do scammers capitalize on a lot of these high-profile investigations and breaking news?
Really, two reasons. Scammers have a playbook that they operate from. And unfortunately, it's kind of a dirty tricks playbook, but nevertheless, they use it because they know it works. And with these types of scams, whether it's something like a high-profile investigation for, the mother of a national celebrity, or whether it's something like wildfires or floods, they're really playing off of two things. The first is just your sense of empathy, right? People want to help. You see something that's gone wrong. You see something that maybe you could do a little bit to help alleviate. And so you want to give. You want to do something that contributes to making things better. And the second is urgency, right? When people don't have a home after a flood or a fire or something like that, there's this kind of sense that, wow, not only do I need to do something, but I need to do something right now. And so oftentimes what that does is it gets us to short circuit that part of our brain that might normally go, hey, wait a second, I'm not sure if this is real or not, and just go ahead and, oh, it's only $25, it's only $50, what have you. And then ultimately, you realize potentially when it's too late that the money that you gave may not be going where you think it's going.
Well, and not to mention all of that, the 25 here, the 50 here, it all adds up and they're playing on your emotions. So explain, how do these fake QR code scams work? What are the red flags we need to look for?
So there are kind of two ways that they work. There's one that's kind of not so bad, still bad, and then there's one that's really bad. So the not so bad kind of one is what we're seeing, for example, with the Guthrie situation. So you see a code, it claims to be from some organization, Pima County Sheriff in this case, and you think, okay, well, it's got their name on it and it's a QR code. And so you click on it and it takes you to some website, which very well may be a legitimate website that somebody set up to get these donations, but ultimately the donation you make isn't going to the right place. So it would not be unlike if you went to the supermarket and say there were some people sitting out in front of the supermarket with a table that said, give us, money to help support animal rescue or something like that, right? There's no way to really tell if they're going to give the money to an animal rescue or not. But ultimately, when they take your money, it's not necessarily quote unquote illegal. So that's kind of the case with the Guthrie situation. But what's even worse are the ones we see where people are doing things like stickering an illegal or an illicit QR code over a real QR code. So imagine that you're dining out in a restaurant, and almost all restaurants now, since COVID, have those QR codes on the table to pay your bill. Well, maybe somebody puts a sticker over that one with a lookalike site that looks very similar, right? So instead of paying your bill, say at Olive Garden, you're paying it at Olive Garden with an I and with a 1 instead of an I. So you're going to a site that is set up to look the same. The URL looks close enough when you're trying to pay a bill, or assuming you ever even see the URL, and now you've sent $99 for your breadsticks and salad to nobody, and you're still going to have to pay Olive Garden before they let you leave. And those are the ones that are really scary because we've become so comfortable with QR codes. And unlike, say, where a robocall or a text is coming to you and you have to respond, you're actually engaging in this action yourself, which kind of puts you at more risk.
So really, you should basically look in detail at that URL or wherever, that QR code sends you before you send money.
Absolutely. Yes. You should always take a couple of seconds to look at where am I going? What am I clicking on? In some cases, these QR codes will even start automatically downloading software onto your phone. So you really have to be kind of skeptical and adopt a mindset of, why is this QR code on a street lamp post or something like that versus something far more legitimate, like, you guys have during the break to get your weather app, right? It's kind of a little bit of common sense, but if anything seems a little off, probably just try and find another way to do what you need to do.
Yeah, keep your antennas up. You know, we know that round 2 of election season is coming up in November. People will be inundated with requests for donations. So how do you know if where you are sending your donation is legit?
Yeah, you know, in a lot of cases, you really don't. Again, it's the type of thing that if it shows up in your, in your inbox on your phone and you click on it, take a really good look at the URL that's showing up there. Try and figure out what the name of the actual organization is. Do a little Google search on them to figure out, are they an actual nonprofit? Are they just a paid lobbying group? Basically, not to say that any of the things are necessarily bad, but just understanding what type of organization you are sending your money to is a very important thing before, you find out that you think they're contributing to candidate X, but really maybe that money's not going to them at all, or it's going to some other candidate or who knows what.
All right, Matt, really good information. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, Crystal.